Hi, I'm Jamie Gaskins, and I'm here to show you a basic Hello World app in Clearwater, a new front-end web framework in Ruby. So the first thing we need to do is we need to generate a Rails app. So Rails new Clearwater app, and we'll skip the bundle for right now, and then we'll go in there and set up the Clearwater and Opal Rails gems. So the Clearwater gem will bring in the Clearwater framework, and the Opal Rails gem will allow you to is what connects Opal to the asset pipeline. Uh, and so we don't actually need a lot of these gems. So everything from coffee Rails down can go. And then we just need to bundle. Once we've bundled, then we can go in and then we'll create a route, which will just do a root route to go to a home controller and use its index action. So app views home index.html.arb, which doesn't actually need to have anything in it, but it does need to exist. And then we'll create the controller, which I've done totally in the wrong order, but it doesn't actually matter. Home controller.rb. And this is not any sort of special controller. It's just your typical Rails controller. It doesn't need to even do anything. It's basically serving up a blank page. And then once we've got that, then we want to go in and create we're going to take the application.js file, delete everything in it because we don't need jQuery, we don't need turbolinks, we don't need any of that. Besides, what we actually want is a Ruby file. So we're gonna change that over to a Ruby file. We need to make sure we bring in the Opal runtime and the Clearwater framework. And then we need to figure out what sort of component we want to use as our primary application component. This is similar to the application layout in Rails. So we're just going to create a regular class, call it layout. We're going to include the Clearwater component mixin. We need to have something to render, so it just needs to respond to render, and that returns our hello world div. Now we're not done yet. We still need to instantiate the application. So Clearwater application.new, and then we're going to pass in the layout, an instance of the layout component as our primary application component, and then we just invoke the application. One other thing that we need to make sure of is that we call this when the document is ready to when the document load event is fired. So we can either do it using the document ready block, or we can move the JavaScript in the layout down to the end of the body. This is what I usually do. So once we've done that, then we can load up our Rails app. And we have our hello world. And we can change this to have whatever we want. So hello Clearwater. And that's how you get a basic Hello World app running in using Clearwater. Um, in future screencasts, I'm going to talk about components. I'm going to talk about routing, which is important if you have more than one screen to display, how to store data, how to fetch data from an API, and cache render, do render caching for performance reasons.